Hey guys, it's Katie from Blueprint Games here. Today we're going to talk about modular building and why you should use modular building to create your level. This isn't, there's other ways to create your level that isn't just modular building, but this is my go-to method. So originally, the reason why I'm making this lesson is because a friend of mine recently made the mistake of making a level out of purely BSP brushes and not using it as a block out tool instead. And I actually made the exact same mistake when I first started out. Now, for people who don't know, BSP brushes are only really meant for blocking out, or perhaps in a last minute part of development you find that you need to quickly put something in, you're going to use a BSP brush. But you don't want to solely make your level out of BSP brushes because they're slow, they're not efficient. They're just really a way of testing your level when you first start out to make sure that it works. Now, I actually use the Super Grid pack off the Unreal Engine store, which works really well for really quick blocking out. So you might want to take a look at that, but what you do is you just block out where you want your windows to go, where you want your door to go, these are where the bathtubs are going to go, and it helps the artist just to know what kind of the vision is here and what works before you start building. So it's sort of like the sketch before you start inking your painting. Now once you've started to get something that works, you want to do your static mesh replacement. So this is my static mesh replacement. Now I thought I should mention, artists tend to get quite fiddly with details quite early on, so you don't really want to look at this from a colour perspective. So what I often do is I go to lit and I go to detail lighting. So that means everything's sort of in a grayscale, so I won't be worrying too much about colour and lighting at the moment. I'm just focusing on composition. So here I have started to replace some of the block out meshes with my static meshes. So I probably already started to remove the block out pieces, they might still be there. And I've started to bring in my modular meshes. And the great thing about modular pieces is they snap together and you can really quickly sort of make a room. And let me just show you quickly. So I've got my snaps on and I copy and paste and I can just, snap these together. And you have to worry about having seam lines or anything like that. And then let's say I want to have, so I'll go to my content browser and I want to have a window here. I can replace my static mesh here and I'll put some windows in. You see? Okay, let's just delete these. The floor is also static mesh modular pieces. So they all sort of fit together. They're just little squares. I've also made a variation. So you can put in wooden floor destroyed here and you'll remove some of the planks. And yeah, it's just sort of a way to make like roofs, ceilings, floor pieces, wall pieces, door pieces, and you can quickly put together some levels. So I'll go back to the front of the asylum here and show you that we've also used modular building for the actual asylum as well. So all we had to do was sort of snap together all these pieces to make the wall front and bring it over here like that. Use modular building on the walls as well. Like here, this whole wall is just modular pieces. And so that's how the level has sort of been put together. And so I'm going to show you how you can make your own modular pieces for your own game. So you want to go to your program, and what I've done is I've imported the mannequin skeleton from inside Unreal Engine just to make sure that my size is correct before I start bringing it in. You might want to make sure that it's correct anyway, like when you finish building it. You want to bring it into Unreal and just check that you're okay with the sizes before you start worrying about texturing it or unwrapping it. Okay, so I go to customize and I want to make sure my units are set up correctly. Unit setup, centimeters, that's fine. And then we're going to start off by creating our modular piece. So I'm going to go to the front view, press F. I'm going to go to my create panel, standard primitives, and I'm going to make a plane. So just drag that out like so. Right, now we want to make sure this snaps together. So we're going to fiddle with our length and width parameters under the little create panel here. So we want to go here and I'm going to type in 250 by 250. Okay, so this is going to be quite a short wall, but I'm going to change some things to it as well. I'm going to add some little sort of, I think they're called day panels or something. Not entirely sure, but you can add a trim here, a trim up here. Sort of just change your wall a bit. Maybe you want to add the windows in, but normally what I do is I start off by making a wall piece. I just drag him to the side. Oh, he's got his bones. And just. So I'm going to isolate this instead. So you want to click your wall piece and go to this little sort of red light bulb and isolate selection toggle. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I am going to start off by making some trims. So I want to, oh, and just one quick note, but make sure your length segments and your width segments are down to 1 because you don't want to have too many polygons at the beginning. So you want to right click and convert this to an editable poly. And another quick note, make sure that these are sort of to, I'd say 10, you want to try and keep it to a toggable, snappable amount. So if you go to the other modular pieces that we have over here, when I snap them together, I'm selecting by 10 or by 5 or by 50 or by 100, but you want to try and keep it to a 5, 10 number. I normally go by 10s rather than 5s. Makes snapping a lot quicker and easier. Okay, and the reason why I've chosen to make it a perfect square is it makes it a lot easier when I want to tile it, but I have done half sizes as well. But I want to try and keep it so that when I unwrap it, I have perfect squares and I want it to tile without too much effort. Okay, so then what I'm going to do is I'm going to start off by, I'm going to convert it to an editable poly, right click, convert to like that. And then I'm going to select an edge, this bottom edge here. And I'm going to go to the side, left side. I'm going to press L, like so. And then I'm going to shift and then click and drag that out to make a new edge. And I'm going to drag that down a little bit. And then I'm going to do the same, shift, click and drag down, and I've made myself a little trim. And then you might want to do the same at the top. So I'm just going to bring that out a bit, select my edge, go back to the left viewport, shift click, drag, shift click, drag out, like so. So I've got another little trim at the top. And then we just go to the perspective mode by pressing P. Okay, and then maybe you want to, oh, that's quite a small trim, isn't it? I'm just going to make that a little bit bigger. Press L. Ooh. Just make that a bit bigger. Like so. There we go. Want it to be sort of noticeable. Bring that out more. Okay, let's take a look. P. So it's still quite a small trim. Maybe I could just grab the edge here and drag that down a bit. And then control click to select 2 at the same time and drag that back out a little bit. Like so. And I'll do the same up here. I want it to be at least a little bit noticeable. You might as well normal map it. Right. There you go. Okay, so then maybe you want to make a little day rail in the middle. So we'll select this side, and you can either click ring to select both, or you can control click both sides, so hold control to select both sides. And I'm going to connect the two, like so. And then I want to have 2 segments. And then I'm going to use this one and bring that down like so to bring it closer together. Now I'm just going to unisolate my guy at the moment, so I'm going to click this to unisolate, and I want to see where the sort of handrail would go. So then I'll drag this down a little bit using this one, like so. Let's look at it from the front, seems about right, and I'll say okay. And then I'm going to isolate this again. And then what I can do is I can select this, like so. And what I'm going to do is ring again, connect, change that to 1, and then I'm going to, which one is it? I think it's this one. What's it doing? Ooh, connect. I'm just going to change these back to 0 because they're quite big numbers. Ooh. There we go. Change that back to 0 and then drag it down so you're nice and close to the original one. And then we'll go down to this segment and connect. There we go. And then I'm going to take these 2 edges and I'm going to pull them out. So I'm going to go to my move, select a move, and I'm just going to pull these out slightly. Now you'll notice that the smoothing is slightly weird. So we just want to play with our smoothing groups. So I'm going to go here and I'm going to make this, I'm going to select this polygon face, go down, and I'm going to change that from a 1 to a 12. This one's fine, and I'm going to change that from a 1 to like an 8. Just make sure all the smoothing groups are fine. Because this was a 1 and this was a 1, it was smoothing these automatically. And that didn't look quite right. Okay, so you have a little day rail. Now, you want to unwrap it now. So what I would do is I'd go to your modifier list and add a UV unwrap. Open your UV editor. And then I'm going to come to my checker pattern, and I'm just going to click here, and that's going to show me my checker pattern. Okay, so I'm going to redo this quickly because you can see where the trims are here, they're not really being displayed, they're sort of squashed up. So I'm just going to reselect everything and do a planar mapping projection down here. So projection, planar. And I want to do it in the Y, aligned to the Y. So it's projecting the entire map now, and you can see that it's now got the squares up here. Everything seems to be a perfect square. Nothing looks warped in any way. If you don't know what I mean by warped, I'm just going to show you quickly what I mean. So if it was like this, or this, I want to get perfect squares. Okay? So I'm going to collapse that. And then you can make variations of your same wall. So if I want to shift, click and drag that out, I'm going to make a copy. Okay. And then I want to make my window. So I'm going to make my window around about here. So I'm going to go here, and you can ring that, connect, make 2 segments, and I'm just going to bring this up to make a bigger gap between the two. Like so. And then I'm going to click here, and I'm going to do a ring again. So you click this edge, ring around, connect, and then I'm going to bring these in by going down, like so. And then I'm going to delete this polygon to make my window hole. You might want to change that. I don't think that looks completely right, but I'm just trying to show you an example of how you could make changes to your geometry. And then you could take this and you can, you know, control click to select them all and shift drag that out to make a sort of interior part to your window. Now that would require more unwrapping. So if you are going to do that, you want to go back to your unwrap, and you want to make sure that you unwrap your windows as well. So you'd have to select the sides here and do projections on all those. You can do best align as well quickly. And you'll see that this is going to be warped. Like so. So what you'd have to do is you'd have to drag that out. Like so. Drag it in this direction until you get perfect squares, or in the other direction if you have to. It depends how it's warped. So then I'll make sure that it's perfect squares, and then what you want to also try and do is make sure that the squares are about the same size. So I'm going to scale this down uniformly here, this button. So it's about the same size, and then I can pop it in here. And you want to make sure that you try and get them all sort of same size. And when you're texturing it, you want to try and make sure that it sort of wraps correctly. If you've got like a brick wall, you don't want it to look a bit weird. But you can worry about that later because you can still unwrap things later on. You just want to make sure that these aren't warped. So you do the same here and here and here. And if you wanted to do a door, just go here again and we do the same thing. So we shift click drag that out. Okay. And then we can do ring, connect. Do 2 of those. Now let's just bring back my guy because I want to make sure that he can fit through the door. So I'm just going to drag him over here. Left his bones behind again. Right. Just drag my little guy over here. I'm going to go back to my front viewport, F. Going to make sure he can fit through his door. So I'm going to do the connect again. Ring, connect, 2, and then I'm just going to drag that out slightly. Make sure that's sort of a decent width. Probably a bit thinner than that. There we go. And then we want to go to here, and we want to do ring again, connect, and we're going to do 1. And I'm going to drag that, the bottom one here, to sort of correct the height. Okay. And then I am going to delete these pieces. Oh, I'm trying to, like so. And now you have your door hole. Let's just hide him. Oh, left his bones behind again. Okay, so then we've got our door hole. And then you can make loads of different variations. And also when you're working with these, you can work on making sure that if you make a separate frame for this, like a window frame, you could, you can work with it to make sure that your window frame would fit exactly. Maybe you want a different type of window. Maybe you want 2 windows. Click Shift, drag that out. Ring, connect. And then what I can do here is I've put one down the middle, and then I'm going to go to this face and I'm going to inset it. And I'm going to change this. Like this, so I drag to inset the amount I want. Then I click my face and I do a semicolon to do the same as I did on the previous wall, or the previous action that you did. And then I can delete these both, and then I've got 2 windows on the same wall. Like so. And these are all unwrapped and using the same texture. So you can use the same texture because we unwrapped it before we started making these variations. We can use the same texture on all of them, but you can make variations of textures. And I've got another tutorial on vertex painting to make it so that it doesn't just look like it's copy and pasted over and over again, because you want to make different versions so that it doesn't look too, well, yeah, too tiley. So maybe you want to make a variation of this in ZBrush or something, or make a variation here as well that has like a bit broken off, or, a gap in the wall, that kind of thing. So we're going to export these out. I will cover another lesson on texturing, but we want to make sure these all have the same sort of pivot point. I'm going to affect the pivot, go to this tab here, hierarchy, affect pivot only, kind of center it to the object. Just going to do it for all of them. Okay, and then I'm going to my front view. I'm just going to select all of these and drag them up so they're on that line there. So when you're bringing something to Unreal, the pivot point inside Unreal is going to be the center of origin. So I'm going to go to this, my first piece, and I'm going to come down to here, and I'm just going to right click these arrows at the bottom. Actually, 1 minute. I'm not going to do it for the z-axis because I want to have it so that the pivot point is at the bottom here. So when I bring this into Unreal, that's my pivot point. And then I'm going to export this out. And this is going to be my wall. You might want to name these better when you bring them out, but this is just an example. Okay, make sure your settings are correct. Oh, I've just accidentally changed that. It's annoying because it sometimes changes when I'm scrolling. Right, I want to change that to binary FBX 2013. Smoothing groups, triangulate. Okay. Go into Unreal. I'm going to make, I'll bring it into here. Right. So what I'm going to do now that I want to import it. Oh, you can see more of my different types of modular wall here as well. So let's bring that in. So here I have one that I've used for the bathroom, which is a lot taller ceiling, as you can see. And I can snap these together as well. Like so. And I can use vertex painting to get rid of the cracks and have a bit of variation in there. Got a wooden wall. Once again, a lot taller of a room. Like so. Here's another one. And I've even included these sort of wallpaper things to sort of hang off the sides of the walls. So sometimes you have a wall where the wallpaper's coming off, that sort of thing, just to add some more variation again. Okay, so I'm going to just quickly do a little folder here. And let me just finish exporting these. So I'm just going to hide this, right click, hide selection. Then I'm going to come down to here and bottom arrow here, right click. Export this as, oh wait, I want to do export selected so we don't end up exporting everything, right? Export selected. And I'm going to do wall underscore door. Okay. I'm going to hide that, right click, hide selection. Then we go to this one and I'm going to go back to my move tool, right click, export. And that's going to be wall underscore single window. Hide that. And once again, the same thing. Wall double window. Okay, now Unreal has decided to autosave. Okay, so I'm going to import my models. So you find your folder where you've exported these two and you just select them all and you click open. They're not going to be skeletal meshes. Ooh. Auto-generate collision. You might want to change this. I do have a tutorial on making your own custom collision that you might want to look at, because when you've got things like doors or windows, you probably want your character to go through the doors. If you auto-generate collision, your character's not going to be able to get through the door. So you might want to follow that tutorial that I will post in the bottom on how to make custom collision so your character can actually get through doors. Okay. All seems pretty good. Import. I want to click import all instead of just pressing it every time. Okay, so we've got our modular pieces. You can see that I made the mistake at the beginning of not pressing export selected, so we've ended up with everything. So make sure you do export selected. So I'm going to go back and just unhide all and grab my wall. Ooh. There it is. Ooh. And I'm going to go to export selected and just replace that. Okay, so then I'm just going to re-import that. So you right click, re-import, and that's fixed it. And I'm just going to show you how this will snap together. So we'll bring in our little wall. As I said, it's quite a short room. And Control C, Control V, and I can just snaps this out. And that fits together. Like so. I can Control C, V, Control paste. You know the drill. And then I can rotate this 90 degrees. Like so. It's a little bit awkward because I'm doing this in a room that's already got stuff in it. And what's great is because we've put the pivot point at the bottom there, Unreal will automatically sort of see that you're trying to put it on something, and it will know where to start it off. So you see it's detected the bed, so it's putting the floor on top, and that's just sort of a lesson for anything. So for example, if I wanted to put like a suitcase on the bed, it's going to detect that, and we don't want it to be halfway, because then when I start to put it through, it's going to put the suitcase sunken halfway through the bed if the pivot point was halfway. So by having it at the bottom, it's not going to spawn into the level like that and you have to adjust it. It's going to automatically come in on the floor and intersect slightly, like so. See? Okay, and now let's say I want to add some variations. I'm just going to right click and find my content browser again. So maybe we want to have a window here. So I'll go down and I'll drag my wall double window to my static mesh and replace that. And you've got your double window. Maybe you want a door here. You can come down and you can put your door in like so. And it's a really quick way of adding back the static mesh instead of the block out section. Sorry, I'm getting a little bit confused with my words. So the next step would be to texture it. Now, because of the way we've done it, it will tile. Oops. Let me just grab that. This will tile. So you can use, oh, you can see that I've not fixed the unwrapping on this, but you need to make sure that you check your unwrapping when you mess with it. because it won't be perfect. I think this is because of the insert that I did. But yeah, so this is going to tile. So if I was to grab my my tiling material here and place it on there and went to lit mode, and I could, what you can do as well, so you don't have to apply it over and over again, is you double click on your mesh and you add it directly into the mesh editor, and it will apply it in the future when you decide to make more of these. If I was to drag another one into the level now, it's going to automatically have that material applied to it. Now when you texture this, you probably want to do it so that it's customized to what you've just made. So like for example, the handrail, you might want to have a wooden sort of bit here, which I would say to do in Substance Painter or Substance Designer. So when I've put together these textures and materials, they're actually from gamestextures.com, which I would suggest checking out. They have quite a good student offer now, so you can get loads of materials to work with. Okay. Oops, didn't mean to delete that. So let me just show you what I mean. I've shown you this already, but just another quick example. But if you want to have a wooden wall, like we've made that rail there, you might want to do it so that you've textured it so that this bit has a tileable sort of concrete. This one's got the wooden bit here. Oh, there's something wrong there with the sparkling. But you see what I mean, so that you've got variation in texture, and I put those together with two different textures inside Substance Painter. Okay. So I'll quickly show you another quick example of modular pieces in action. If I really want to make a quick room, I'm going to make a new project. Ooh. Not going to save that, completely messed it up. Let's say we're making a quick waiting room. I'm going to grab my wooden wall. Okay, so that's a really quick level, sort of just blocked out. There's a couple of problems with it that I'm not too happy with, but I guess I got a little bit carried away. But this is just a really quick example of modular building, where you you just take the pieces that you've made and snap them together. I decided to lower the roof a bit because I thought it was actually quite a tall wall. But this is sort of just a really basic waiting room with some assets that I had lying around from Relapse. There seems to be a door missing and windows and stuff because I actually decided to choose the wall that didn't have any of that made for it. But I kind of felt like when I was making the waiting room there weren't any windows, just a door. There might be a door around somewhere, I'm pretty sure. But I've got these other modular meshes that I put together. These sort of like support meshes that I can just sort of drag out and use to create a little bit more interesting design to the walls. Got the floor, got the carpet thing that I've made. I've got different types of carpet to make sort of ripped up effects. These aren't mine, these are from a different pack. I think it's called the Urban pack on the marketplace, but they snap together as well. So that's another example of how modular pieces work. You can just snap together a bunch of pipes. Just stuff like that. So it's mostly for things like floors, pipes, ceilings, walls. And you can really quickly just make a quick room. The clock isn't really done, so it looks a bit weird. But you kind of get the point. Don't know if you can play in here or not. You can, but you can't look around for some reason. So, that's a really quick tutorial on modular building pieces. What I'm going to do is possibly do a second tutorial on texturing it, but I have some other things I need to do today and I hadn't submitted a tutorial in a very long time. So I wanted to get something out there that could possibly help people. If you find yourself stuck on anything, just leave me a comment below and I'll try and help you out. There's going to be some more tutorials again in the future. I'm going to be covering material instances, a bit more about materials in general, just sort of the basics for people in Unreal Engine is what I'm trying to cover at the moment, nothing too complicated. We will ease into more complicated stuff later on. I think we're going to get more stuff on blueprints eventually, since this is a blueprint, I think. Let's just check. So you can do a bit more on blueprints. So I didn't make this. I guess James will be doing the tutorials for blueprints. But if you put in an art asset, you can add a bit more variation to things. Just really quickly by adding blueprint versions. You can do it so that, you know, it's a lot quicker to do rather than having to put in the separate drawers in automatically, and it's functional as well, so if you go up to it and click on it, they open and close. Just things like that. So let me know if there's any other future tutorials you want to see. I do take requests. And thanks for watching. Please make sure to like and subscribe and leave a comment below.